What's up, guys? We're back with another Q&A Friday. You kept asking the questions, so I'm going to keep on answering them.
Okay, I've been working like 3 jobs. Probably why I never see ya. Probably why I never have time for the fake friends that won't be ya. Been ballin', but it's looking like they took a time out. Okay, I'm working on a Wednesday, then up again the next day. So-and-so is popping, man. I skip him like he leg day.
Now, I wasn't sure if this project was going to work where we're shooting Q&A videos on Fridays, but I appreciate the questions you guys have sent in. Hopefully you're liking this engagement aspect where you ask something specific. We've got some more questions that we're going to go through. The first one coming up is Joe Glover. Joe asks, what is the number one thing manufacturers need to do going into 2019? The number one thing manufacturers need to do is stop waiting to update their marketing and start changing their tactics that they're using. Marketing has been the most disrespected department in any manufacturing company, especially in the industry that you're in, Joe, and it just keeps on getting forgotten about, it keeps on getting pushed off. There's typically not a big department, and people would rather in those companies focus on tangible things like things on the production floor and efficiencies and robotics and all that, to where they actually have something to grasp. And marketing is this department that just isn't as important. So number one, start with actually respecting the department and the things that they could do. But number two, if you have a department, is producing content and focusing on content marketing. Regardless of website and SEO and PPC and email marketing, all that stuff, you have to produce content, but you have to do it differently than the way you have been doing it. The old way of just writing an article once a month, or writing a white paper once a quarter, or doing a newsletter on a quarterly basis, that just does not work anymore. You have to focus on content marketing, and you have to focus on video and written. If you've got the skill set, or if you've got the department internal that can handle this, possibly doing a podcast, but at least starting with video and written content, but doing it consistently is the number one thing that they need to focus on. That is the one differentiator that is gonna change the way that you get inbound leads, the way that you get brand awareness out there. Furthering into that, once you produce the content, now you need to do something with it to get eyes on it, which goes into the distribution, which we've answered in other videos. But primarily looking at email marketing, putting it on the site, and focusing, if you're in B2B like you are, Joe, focusing on LinkedIn to get that out there in front of the right target demographic. That's gonna be the tactic to use. But if we just had to pick one, it's gonna be produce content, but stop doing it the way that you used to. Do it the way in 2019. Look at other of your competitors that are doing it correctly. Look at the examples that we give. Look at the videos that we do where we're talking about exactly what you should do with that content. It's all about content. It was last year. It's gonna be this year. Unless something changes over the next 12 months and attention shifts, there might be an adjustment to the types of content. Maybe video drops off and it goes more into audio. We've seen an increase in that. But at the end of the day, it's all about producing that content, because brand awareness is what's going to get the long-term growth that you want, and not the short-term transactionals of make a call, get a sale. You want the brand awareness to be out there, and the only way to constantly push into that pipeline is going to be by producing content and distributing it out on the right channels. And one of those is not Twitter, so stop focusing on it if you guys do that. So Joe, hopefully that answers your question. Focus on that content. You're engaged on LinkedIn. I see out there all the time. You're asking us questions. You're doing the right thing. Now push that up above and try and get that information into your upper management, other people at your company, and push hard to get them focusing on content, man. I appreciate the questions. Larry Cachette asked, we all understand LinkedIn is a tool for B2B engagement, but is it effective/appropriate to use marketing tools and personal social media apps like Instagram and Snapchat to target buyers there as well? They may not be looking into that app, but could you get their attention? Larry, great question. And me personally, I believe that yes, you should use like the quote unquote personal ones. I mean, really, if you look at LinkedIn, that's still a personal app. It was originally started for networking and finding jobs, which has then evolved because as the network evolved, so did their platform, so did the features, because the attention was on it. So now people are marketing and using it as a way to get in front of those target demographics. For you guys looking at, specifically going to a different platform like an Instagram, Snapchat, Facebook, from that standpoint, yes, I don't have any issue with it. We do it. We have clients that do it. It just depends on the message that you're going after. So for you guys going after Snapchat, I would say no, knowing what it is that you guys do. Going after Instagram, 1,000%. Considering you're in the machining industry, yes, you guys need to have an Instagram presence big time in that to push out some of the stuff that you're doing. Understanding a lot of machine shops, and we've got clients that do this as well. You can't show everything because it is proprietary. Try and figure out a creative way around it, maybe on the video shoot that you do or a photo shoot, blurring it out to where somebody can't see the details of it that makes it proprietary. But you're in the business of making things that look cool, so therefore you want to try and show it out. Instagram's the best platform for that, also using it on LinkedIn. The best way for you guys to use those platforms would be kind of twofold. Either one, taking your current connections on LinkedIn and retargeting them and remarketing to them through the social apps. So you can upload lists into Facebook and the Facebook platform, which is going to be using Instagram as well, and trying to find either lookalike profiles based on that person, or just find those people. So if you come to my website and you're in my target demographic, I may not get your attention on LinkedIn. That's what you have to think about. Where is their attention? That's what it always comes back to. I may not get your attention on LinkedIn, but if there's a chance that you're on Facebook, even looking at it from a personal standpoint, I want to put something relevant in front of you to where you're like, oh, and you stop. So I can use retargeting with a Facebook pixel to target you on Facebook or on Instagram and put those ads in front of you to stop your attention. So it all comes down to the person. How much attention do you think they're putting on these different platforms? Starting with, for you guys, on LinkedIn, then doing some retargeting from your website or some lookalike audiences on Facebook and Instagram to serve up ads to them. You want them to see the brand awareness, see something interesting. The mindset of the people on Facebook are not thinking about business. You're going after buyers, engineers, operations people. They're not probably thinking about work. They're just either entertaining themselves or buying time because they're in the middle of doing two things. Still, even though they're in that mindset, putting something that's relevant that they probably don't see a ton of, especially with you guys, they're not going to see a ton of machine shops that are throwing ads up in front of their face on social. You can get underpriced attention with that. You running a Facebook lookalike audience or retargeting from your website on Facebook or on Instagram can get attention from that person for a relatively cheap cost versus using LinkedIn. Both of them have their pros and cons, but specifically to what you're talking about, it all comes down to, I don't think that it's wrong because you're not invading their privacy. You're just looking at who's got the attention of that target demographic. So yes, you should be using Instagram and Facebook if your budget allows it to be retargeting people or hitting up that same target demographic. It's all about brand awareness. It's all about omnipresence and trying to be everywhere all at the same time. So you 100% agree with that tactic. Larry had a second question, a follow-up question. It was, email is becoming obsolete as a marketing tool. The socials are also starting to see a slipping effectiveness. What's next? If you look at email, I would never say that email is obsolete. I would disagree with that. Socials may be, slipping with effectiveness, but at the end of the day, what it comes down to is that email is not as effective as it was 2 years ago, nor 5, nor 10 or 15. Social is not as effective as it was 18 months ago or maybe 3 years ago. You're starting to reach that bell curve, okay? And you're starting to reach the pinnacle and the peak of that effectiveness, which all comes down to it's a new enough tactic from a marketing standpoint to where you're able to get the underpriced attention and get a lot of it. Then the rest of the market comes and says, I need to be on this platform too. Everybody starts flooding the market. Then eventually marketers ruin the tactics. This has happened since, over the last 30 years and probably, before that with newspaper and television and all that stuff. It just gets ruined because everybody starts doing it. So I think that, email marketing has its place. It's not going to drive a ton of awesome traffic to you, and you're not going to get, a ridiculous amount of leads because the open rate, the bounce rate, those are all jacked up now because of canned spam acts and because of filters on people's inboxes to where sometimes even your regular Outlook sent message doesn't get through and gets flagged just because the market's so tight because people ruined it. But it just does still play a part. It's just like cold calling. Cold calling lost its effectiveness years ago to a certain standpoint, to where now 70 to 77% of the time you're leaving a voicemail, which isn't as effective as it used to be, but that's the same thing as email. It serves a point. You do need to still do it, just don't rely on that driving all of your traffic. So you have to be diverse. You have to do email marketing, even though it's losing its effectiveness. You have to be doing cold calling, even though it's lost its effectiveness a lot over the years. Cold visits, it's lost its effectiveness. Nobody wants to see you when you walk in and knock on that door. Everybody's not busy, or everybody's too busy, everybody's not available. It's because it's on their time standpoint. Nobody wants to just meet with somebody when they want to be able to control it. Social slipping, I think LinkedIn's still performing. It's getting noisier. I mean, Twitter, from a social standpoint, Twitter is useless in my opinion, for the most part, because it is way too noisy. Everybody's on it and you just can't get a clean feed. LinkedIn is starting to get noisier, but if you look at your LinkedIn feed, it's changing with the relevancy of what people want to see. There's way more video content on LinkedIn now than there was 12 months ago, because they made it available to people to post native videos, and then people started making videos about posting native videos and how they're great, and then people started just flooding the market with native videos. The tactics will change in it and the interaction, but as the social platforms come and go, even with Facebook, and Instagram, as they come and go in their moments of shining, somebody else is going to be there to pick it up. So I can't predict what's next with losing its effectiveness. I think that voice is going to be big and videos are going to be big, and that anything with consuming content or getting content from places where you don't have to necessarily, engage on a one-on-one basis and watch it right then and there. Like with video, that's why YouTube came out with the paid video, to where you can lock your phone and essentially lock the screen and still listen to the videos on YouTube. They're trying to compete with the podcast type experience, to where you can do other things, you don't have to watch it. So it's going to adjust over time as the market adjusts. I see, if Microsoft doesn't completely jack up LinkedIn over the next couple of years and keeps it up with time, it'll still be a major player in the B2B marketplace, but there will be things that come up in the future that get the attention away or shift the attention. But LinkedIn eventually will probably go away. Who knows when, if it's 5 years from now, 10 years from now, but you just kind of got to look at what's your ROI on the effort, what type of attention you're getting, if you're doing the right things, and then adjust from there. Larry, thanks so much for those questions. Those two were great. Last question is from Kristen Charlton. She's basically asking, why is it that manufacturing companies are essentially disrespecting marketing, but at the same time being like they're world-class, innovative leaders, things like that with their tech, but just kind of throwing out marketing? And then also her second follow-up question was, why do people continue at trade shows to just put parts out on their display in a trade show booth without, while still thinking that people are actually going to know what it is that they do if they don't have marketing behind it? Kristen, great question. I appreciate you posting that in on LinkedIn. Essentially, going back to that first question that we answered, where we're talking about disrespecting marketing as a department, I've seen this for years too, as you've seen it, that people can talk about innovation and that they're leading technology, but they're strictly referring to their operational technology and things like that. It just comes down to they don't think that marketing is as important. Marketing is not going to drive revenue for them. This is something that's been going on forever and still goes on, is that a lot of CEOs and VPs and things like that think that the salespeople are going to go out there and get the business, but the marketing people are just going to produce this fluffy stuff that's not actually going to close deals or support it. I mean, we're talking specifically in the manufacturing services marketplace, in a very specific, revenue range and size of companies. That's just the way it's always been. If you look back to the history, marketing has always been an afterthought. Websites have really only been around for like 25 years or so. So they just didn't place importance on it. Even if you go back to the late 90s, early 2000s, people were primarily doing cold visits. You were using manufacturing directories and doing cold calls and things like that. You still weren't using marketing. People are, slow to adapt. I'd say manufacturing, industrial services industry is the slowest to adapt to any sort of change strategically from a even sales or marketing standpoint. Fastest to adjust to tech because they want to get the business from their clients and show that they're on the leading edge. The slowest to change their tactics, just because I don't know if it's necessarily a laziness factor, they just don't know. Part of the reason why we're doing what we're doing is to make it aware to this industry that I work so long in personally, to let them know that you can change your marketing and you can produce results with it and get revenue and have it be a working force without having it just be a budget drainer with fluffy, pretty things. Marketing can do that, and a lot of people know that it can, but for the majority, they just think that, you know, this is what they've always done. They haven't really heard anything otherwise from anybody that they respect, so they're going to keep doing it. It all comes down to the creativity, and a lot of times these manufacturing companies are not using a marketing company that actually knows anything about their business. So they're just coming up with these taglines saying, you know, leader in technology, innovation, things like that, creating the website, but then that's it. They just create it and then no marketing behind it to push traffic to it, and they feel like they're doing something. So it's a culture. It's not going to change anytime soon. This is going to be something that goes on for the next decades to continue. Hopefully, as the older veteran regimes move out of those businesses and you get some of the youth in that know that marketing is important, they can try and change the direction. We've seen it with some of our clients and prospects we've talked to. Younger generation comes in, wants to focus on marketing because they know it works, and you can get some change that way, but it's going to be a long-term shift. The second part of it, talking about the parts on the booth, it's the same thing. They just don't. This is what they're always used to doing. If I show you 1,000 parts on a table, you walk by, in theory, the way it used to be was people can see a part and say, I make something just like this that you already made, you can then make that for me. If you go more of a minimalist approach and not have as much there, but focus on branding and marketing and video, or replacing that square space with something that's valuable, then yes, that is more effective, but it's a culture thing. Same reason why the same dudes are going to trade shows and chicks are going to trade shows, and they're going 10 trade shows a year and they're not getting a lot of value out of it, but their company keeps sending them and they like it because they can travel and they get time off of work and they sit down in that booth and they sit on their phone and they're not really paying attention. They're hoping that somebody comes up and gets them leads. That's because they're not being held accountable for their actions nor the budget that they're putting in place. So they can just be lazy and complacent. It's a culture thing. It's going to take forever to change, but hopefully in the next 10 to 20 years, it will. But then in 20 years, whatever that new trend is that's working, this is now going to be the dinosaur. So we'll deal with this all over again. So I appreciate that question. I appreciate all the questions you guys have asked. We're going to keep doing these as long as you guys keep sending questions. So if you got value out of this, hit that like button. If you have questions, comments below, share this out because we need to get some more stuff coming in. Shoot me a private message, whatever you need to do. And as always, we'll see you on the next one.